Check, 1 2 2. 1 2. Check, 1 2. 1 2.
Mic check one, two. Mic check, mic check. Good morning, everyone. Mic check, mic check. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You all look amazing. We're about to start the event shortly. We would like to ask that you be patient with us. The event will begin very shortly. But in the meantime, I just tested my microphone. Thank you. All right, mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Wanted to set
All right, DJ, please can we have, thank you. Good morning, distinguished guests, policymakers, regulators, technologists, and industry leaders in the room. It is my absolute honor to very warmly and very specially welcome you to the AI Summit 2026. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Thank you. This initiative is proudly brought to you by T&A Legal in collaboration with the National Assembly and the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. And we're gathered here today at the beating heart of Lagos, the center of excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, to discuss and interrogate questions that matter the most. And today, those conversations we're going to be having will shape how we use AI in Nigeria and Africa at large. The theme today rightly cuts the AI conversation, the ethical use of AI in Nigeria and how we can regulate innovation and balance both together. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we must first begin by grounding today's task in unity and purpose. So please, I would like to ask that as very patriotic citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we all rise for the national anthem of our beloved country. Thank you.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We may please be seated. Thank you very much. We're gathered here today for what promises to be a very rich and insightful conversation about the ethical use of AI, artificial intelligence in Nigeria, balancing innovation and regulation. As the adoption of artificial intelligence in Nigeria and across Africa accelerates, it is our responsibility to gather together to have conversations like this and interrogate the questions that matter most, from accountability to governance to data protection to data privacy, cybersecurity, and most importantly, the public interest. And so today, while we know that we live in a world where algorithm is moving very fast, it is our responsibility to move even faster. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tolu Thompson. I'm a professional compare and communications coach, and it is my absolute pleasure to stand before you this lovely Thursday morning as your master of ceremonies. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Thank you. You know, in the words of one of America's renowned computer scientists, Alan Kay, he said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And so today we are definitely creating that future with the conversations we're about to have. about the ethical use of artificial intelligence in Nigeria and Africa at large. And I think it's at this point that we appreciate the brilliant minds behind this amazing conversation we're about to have today. Because, you know, when you see amazing events like this put together, you understand that there are minds and there are brains that work behind the scenes to make it possible. So please, let's put our hands together for the team at T&A Legal who have put this together. Thank you very much. And also, let's appreciate our collaborative partners at the National Assembly and the National Information Technology Development Agency. Please, let's put our hands together for them. Thank you very much. And on that note, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're incredibly honored to acknowledge the presence of our highly esteemed guests who have joined us today. And so please, I would like to crave your indulgence that you're very generous with your applause as we recognize their presence here. From the National Assembly Committees on ICT and Cybersecurity, Cybercrime, I beg your pardon, Senate and House of Representatives, please let's appreciate the presence of Senator Shaibu Afolabi Salisu, the Senate Committee Chairman on ICT. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Also, we have the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, represented by Adao Bionwankwo, the Head Innovations Unit, NDPC. Also, the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA SBL Tech Subcommittee, represented by Ben Ifoma, Second Vice Chair of NBA SBL Tech Subcommittee. Now in academia, because we're an all-round people, we have Professor Olufade Onifade, Department of Computer Science and AI, University of Ibadan, and the Chairman Committee on the University Policy for the Ethical Use of AI. And also we have Prof. David West, Dean, Lagos Business School. Please let's appreciate them. Also, Unitellers International Limited, Dr. Jimisayo Awokola, Director of Business. Thank you very much. Also from RAIN, we have Dr. Olushola Ayola, the founder, is one of our panelists for today. We also have one of our panelists as well from Pop Central, Yinka Obebe, the founder of Pop Central. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us at this auspicious occasion this morning. We do not take your presence lightly. And to everyone in the room, please put your hands together for yourself. You are also a very important person. We see you and we appreciate you, and we say thank you for being a part of this conversation today. Now, to officially set the stage and open the doors for today's conversation, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage one of our pioneers, one of the duo who started this T&A Legal, the A in T&A Legal. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to take us now in the welcome address, the one, the only, Honorable Oluseyi Adisa. Please, let's put our hands together for him as he comes up stage.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you so very much for being here. We do apologize, we're starting a bit late, but we're glad you're in the room. It is important that I don't just stand on protocol as is usual to be said at events like this, but to make particular mention to honor some of our guests that arrived very early and are here, and we do not take that lightly. So once again, please let's celebrate our Senate Chairman on ICT all the way from Abuja, flew in this morning just to be with us. Please, once again, let's recognize Senator Salisu. We again thank our friends from the NDPC, Mr. Da, from the MBA, from the Academia, University of Ibadan. They also left Ibadan early this morning and are here. And what you will realize from this event is that we have brought together people from different segments of society just to make sure that we have a rich conversation. I also want to especially thank our panelists, Dr. Ayola, Dr. Awukola, Yinka Obebe, Mr. Lekon Adeko, and everyone here. All right, so let me just say a few words before we start. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you all for being here. Members of government, National Assembly, regulators, technology leaders, innovators, developers, the academia, civil society, members of the legal profession, distinguished guests, all very important personalities in here, members of the media, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here and welcome to T&A's summit on AI governance in Nigeria. Permit me to begin with a simple observation. Every era is remembered by one technological shift that changes how people live, how people work, how people govern, and how they create wealth. The steam engine transformed industry. Electricity transformed civilization. The internet transformed communication. And AI is transforming everything. And is moving faster than any revolution before it. Yet, despite this pace, one truth holds that no country can honestly say it has completely figured AI out. I want to tell you how this summit came to be. Last year at the International Bar Association conference in Canada, I sat through several AI sessions. And what struck me was how differently countries were approaching it. We had representation from China, from Europe, of course, the United States, Canada, and so many other countries that made several presentations. Of course, the EU seems to be leading the way with one of the most comprehensive, or arguably one of the most comprehensive regulatory regimes that they are putting out. California, by contrast, was leaning more on innovation than regulation. And so every jurisdiction is in effect running its own experiment. And that raised an obvious question for me. What is Nigeria's position? And so when I returned home, I started paying closer attention and found out that the National Assembly has already, had several bills on AI under consideration. And so if every country is experimenting, then Nigeria's experiment must be our own. It must be evidence-based. It must be built for our own realities, not borrowed wholesale from someone else's framework. And that's the conviction that brought together this summit. So this is no longer a conversation for just technologists alone. Every one of us in this room, whether you're a regulator, founder, from the academia, you're a lawyer, or you're just a citizen, we have a stake in the future that we are shaping today. The scale of opportunity, of course, is incredible. AI is projected to add 15.7 trillion to the world economy, and Africa alone could unlock roughly about 1.5 trillion just by 2030. Nigeria alone could add an estimated 15 billion to its GDP using AI. So in practical terms, that means farmers can detect pests earlier, they can strengthen food security, doctors can expand diagnosis to underserved communities, government can make faster and more transparent data-driven decisions, and so on and so forth. So for Nigeria, AI is not just a technological opportunity, it is an economic and strategic imperative. But every revolution that creates can also deceive. The same technology that empowers can also discriminate. That same technology that improves efficiency can undermine privacy. Deepfakes, algorithm bias, data misuse, cybersecurity threats, election interference, automated decisions made without transparency or accountability. These are not hypothetical risks. They are today's realities. And they bring us to the question this summit exists to wrestle with. How do we protect citizens without discouraging innovation? How do we give businesses the regulatory certainty they need to invest How do we preserve democratic values while embracing technological advancements? So these are not new questions. The world's leading economies are still refining their answers, as I said, from my experience, from the EU's comprehensive framework to South Africa's evolving policy consultations to sector-specific approaches in the United States. The United States doesn't even have one act to deal with AI. So if the world's most advanced economies have not settled these questions, then Nigeria has a real opportunity not to arrive late, but to build wisely. That is why we are not here to import another country's law wholesale. We are here to listen. We are here to learn. We're here to exchange ideas. And above all, we're here to identify practical, balanced, forward-looking recommendation for an AI governance framework that is lawful, accountable, innovation-friendly, and distinctly Nigerian. And so this conversation will not end in this hall. What we produce here, your insights, your thoughts, your disagreements, your recommendations, will all be collated into a communique and will be carried forward to the second phase. And that second phase is a high-level policy roundtable in Abuja, convening lawmakers. We already have Senate Chairman here. Convening lawmakers, regulators, and key stakeholders directly. In other words, this summit is not simply about discussing Nigeria's AI future. It is about helping to write it. So I ask you, do not be passive participants. Challenge the speakers. Ask the difficult questions. Agree where you must and disagree where you should. At T&A Legal, we have chosen to place ourselves at the center of this conversation, not at its margins. We have begun already integrating AI into our legal practice, and we believe Nigeria has the opportunity to become not merely a consumer of artificial intelligence, but Africa's leading voice in its responsible and ethical governance. That journey begins with conversations such as this one. So on behalf of my partners, Ayobami Tunde and Gbemi Musoro, and the entire T&A Legal team, and all our partners in this initiative, I sincerely thank each of you for honoring our invitation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor, therefore, to officially welcome you to T&A's National Summit on AI Governance in Nigeria 2026. I wish us insightful discussions, productive deliberations, and above all, practical outcomes that will help shape Nigeria's AI future for generations to come. Thank you for being part of this conversation, and together, let's shape AI's future that will work for Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than that. Let's give him a stellar applause. Thank you very much. The co-founding partner, T&A Legal, Honorable Oluseyi Adisa. Thank you so much, sir, for that welcome address. I mean, I want to believe that many of us in this room are very tech savvy, and that's why we're here for this conversation today. And so we have a poll that we want you to fill. During the course of the event, you'll be filling about 3 polls. You'll fill one now, and then you'll fill another one after our panel session, and then you fill one at the end of the session. We just want to do that to see how this conversation is driving your information knowledge and how you know better about the use of artificial intelligence. So please scan the QR code that you can see on the screen. The questions are going to pop up very shortly, and we'll take that. If you're joining us online as well, please, we would like that you engage in this. Thank you for joining us virtually. Please scan the QR code that's popping on your screen right now so that you can fill the polls. Thank you. Are we going to have the questions on the screen? Are we going to have the questions? Are we going to have the questions on the screen? Okay, once they fill the QR code, they would get the questions. All right, so fine. So please, let's engage. I think it's just about 3 questions. Fine. thank you. We have just 60 seconds to fill the poll. I'm sure many of us are done filling that. Please, can we have the result pop up on screen? Thank you. And if you're joining us online as well, we want to believe that you're done filling the poll. We're going to gather the results now just to see where our information knowledge is now during the event and then after the event. Is the poll ready, please? Okay. All right. Thank you. So will AI create more jobs in Nigeria than it destroys over the next 10 years? Many people said yes. Wow. Okay. We have, is Nigeria moving fast enough to compete in the AI race? 29% said no, only 4% believe. And that's why we have conversations like this, so that, we can position rightly to be able to compete on a global scale. What's the next question, please? Should Nigeria regulate AI now, even if it slows innovation? Yes, fantastic. Please put your hands together for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This last question takes me to the very next session that we're about to get into right now. Like the theme of this summit says, the ethical use of artificial intelligence in Nigeria, balancing regulation and innovation. Some people might be asking the question, why does AI regulation matter? Does it really count? Do we really need to regulate it? Now, the video we're about to watch, or the documentary rather we're about to watch, answers that question, why AI regulation matters now. So ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention to the screen as you watch this documentary. Thank you.
Right now, across Nigeria, most people are already using artificial intelligence every single day, even if they don't know it. The data shows that 88% of Nigerian adults are already using AI chatbots on their phones, which is well above the global average of 62%. We are not waiting for this technology to arrive. We are already living inside it. Think about the automatic chat assistant inside your banking app that flags a failed transaction in the middle of the night without you visiting a branch. Or think about how your phone camera automatically cleans up a photo you took in a dark room so it looks bright, or how Google Maps instantly changes your route the moment it senses traffic ahead on the 3rd mainland bridge. When a quick loan app looks at your phone and decides in seconds whether to give you credit. When your keypad guesses the exact next word you want to type before your finger even touches the screen. That is not a coincidence. That is AI. And we aren't just using it, we love it. Nigeria currently ranks number 1 in the whole world on the AI Economic Optimism Index. We believe in what this technology can do for our future more than almost any other country on earth. So the question is not whether artificial intelligence is coming to Nigeria. It is already here. The real question we need to ask ourselves is, do we truly understand what it is doing to our daily lives? Look around you. AI is already deep inside the systems that keep our country running. In banking, it is the invisible watchman tracking fraud, flagging strange movements of money, and deciding who gets a loan to start a business. In farming, Nigerian tech platforms are reading satellite images and drone data from the sky. Because of this, a farmer in Kano or Benue can look at their phone and know the exact day to plant, when the rains will drop, and how to kill a crop disease before it ruins the whole harvest. This isn't just fancy technology. This is how we feed our people. In telecoms, AI is managing the heavy network traffic so your calls don't drop and answering the customer service complaints of millions of Nigerians every day. Even government is moving faster than you think. Just this month, the federal government launched GovGuide Nigeria, an AI assistant that lives right inside WhatsApp and on the web, and it can answer questions about more than 35 ministries and 60 government agencies in English, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. For the very first time, a market woman in Sokoto and a graduate in Lagos can ask government the exact same question in their own mother tongue and get a clear answer instantly. Look at how it's reshaping jobs. On one hand, you can now generate stunning graphics in seconds without a photographer, or run a whole business without hiring a sales assistant. That is massive efficiency. But on the other hand, it means everyday livelihoods are being wiped out by people simply pushing buttons. This is not a story about tomorrow. This is happening today. The risks we cannot ignore. But let us be completely honest with ourselves for a second. When technology gets this powerful and anyone can use it without rules, it becomes a dangerous weapon. And we are not talking about future fear here. We are talking about what is already happening on our streets and inside our social media platforms right now. People with malicious intent are using AI to target ordinary people. They are taking normal pictures of young girls, school students, and women and using AI apps to completely strip off their clothes, creating fake, explicit photos to disgrace, humiliate, and blackmail them. It doesn't stop there. AI is now being used to forge reality. People are using it to create fake paper evidence, manufacture fake bank alerts to cheat traders, and forge official documents that look 100% real. Now imagine a scammer who can clone your daughter's voice with technology that costs almost nothing, calling you to say she's in danger and needs money urgently, or a convincing video of a public official saying something they never said, spreading across WhatsApp groups faster than anyone can verify it. When anyone can use a phone to fake a voice, forge a document, or strip a photo, trust dies. The damage is done by a real person with malice, but because the technology hides their tracks, they walk away scot-free. If someone can weaponize an AI tool to ruin your life and the law cannot touch them, who do you turn to? Who answers for it? Right now, our laws do not even have a clear definition for these fake videos and photos. The damage to real human lives happens in seconds, moving at the speed of the internet. But our protections, they are completely stuck in the past. We are leaving the everyday citizen to fight a high-tech war completely unprotected and empty-handed. The case for policy. This is exactly why we cannot just sit back, fold our arms, and watch. Technology is flying at the speed of a racing car, but the rules protecting our people are still learning how to walk. To be fair, the walking has started. Nigeria has climbed 31 places on the Global AI Readiness Index in less than 2 years. Our tech agency, NITDA, has put a draft code of practice on the table, and a national AI trust has been set up to guide how we use this technology. These are good steps, but a draft cannot protect a citizen, and a plan is not a shield. When we talk about making policies and laws for AI, we are not trying to tie the hands of our young tech founders. We are not trying to stop progress or block innovation. Good laws are like the brakes on a fast car. Brakes are not there to make you stop. They are there to give you the confidence to drive fast without crashing. Nigeria needs clear rules that do 3 simple things: protect everyday citizens from being cheated, give our tech creators a clear map so they can build safely, and make sure that Nigeria is actually creating this new world, not just consuming what others build outside. In just 2 years, Nigeria has trained over 700,000 people in AI skills. We have brought in more than $1.85 billion in investment, and we have over 120 active AI startups right here at home. We even built our own major AI language model, Atlas, first one backed by government that truly understands our local languages. We are not a small country playing at the edges of technology. We are a nation building at top speed. So since we already know that AI is deep in our lives and we are already investing, building, and winning with it, the big question we must answer in this room today is very simple. AI is already here, but as a nation, are we truly ready for it? And more importantly, who gets to write the rules for an intelligence that isn't human?
Put your hands together for that amazing documentary. Thank you very much. I think that was very insightful, and like I mentioned earlier, this video just shows us why regulation actually matters now. We know that AI is accelerating faster than the speed of light, but like I mentioned earlier, our responsibility is to move faster particularly when it comes to accountability, governance, cybersecurity, data privacy, and most importantly, the people's interests. We need to know where people stand and how to guide people and guard people when they fall victims of the disadvantages that people use AI for. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into another session of the event right now. The team at T&A Legal, Public Policy and Regulations team, have a presentation for us. And to take us in that presentation, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Associate Public Policy and Regulatory Compliance Department, Asonia Boluwatife. Please put your hands together for her as she comes up stage. Thank you very much. I can see you have a lot of friends in the audience because this applause is really stellar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tony, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Distinguished Senate Chairman, Committee on ICT, members of the National Assembly, regulators, developers, users, and esteemed stakeholders and contributors to this all-important national conversation on ethical artificial intelligence governance and how to balance regulation and innovation. Once again, my name is Bolu Atife, and I'm from the Public Policy Practice at T&A Legal. So you can think of us as the bridge that brings policies to life. Our work sits at the intersection of laws, policies, and institutional reform. We help both private and public sector stakeholders to understand, simplify, help them to adapt to regulations, ever-evolving regulatory landscapes for both institutional growth and sustainability. Next slide, please. We've worked on policies of several institutions like the NSIB, where we recommended relocating the NSIB from the Ministry of Aviation to enable their investigative functions. And the NSIB, next slide, was relocated to the presidency. We've worked on policies of the Bureau of Public Procurement. We've worked on policies of institutions like the NCAA, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and we've also worked on 12 policies of NIDA. And this has given us a strong appreciation or strong awareness about some facts on today's digital economy. So we've all agreed and established that AI is no longer an emerging, speculative, or futuristic technology. It's already here, and it's here to stay, and it will continue to shape, influence, and affect our lives. And almost everyone in this room uses AI. Even as a firm, we leverage AI in our work flows. We use it in our legal research, our policy work, and we also build the capacity of our staff, of our team, to use AI responsibly and to enhance our productivity with human oversight. And we're also guided by an AI use policy. I hope your organization has one, because AI governance actually starts with you. So we also, the previous slide please, we also recognize that while AI presents significant opportunities like boosting national productivity, improve quality of life, and economic competitiveness, it also presents a enormous risk. The risks are properly well defined, well established. They include data misuse, cross-border data exposure, algorithmic bias, discrimination, deepfakes, and cybersecurity risk. And you also agree with me that governments across the world, they're actually struggling to even understand this technology that has refused to stand still, and also unlock its potentials for innovation, productivity, while also managing the associated legal, ethical, and societal risk. And also the recognition that the rapid adoption of AI outpaces the current legal and institutional frameworks that ought to guide it. And so this awareness led us to, next slide, this awareness led us to what I would describe as a legal policy diagnostic research journey. And then we examined Nigerians' current regulatory framework, AI governance framework, and I'll be sharing some of our discoveries with us this morning. So we discovered that Nigeria is actually not starting from a zero ground. When we talk about artificial intelligence, we're actually building on deliberate and policy choices. So as well as years of collaborative efforts that has laid the important foundations for where Nigeria's AI journey or milestone is today. And Nigeria's AI agenda is anchored on the digital economy policy and strategy 2020 to 2020 strategy. And from that strategy, we would see that AI is a critical national priority to Nigeria's ambition of raising a $1 trillion dollar digital economy by 2030. So one of the key frameworks, next slide, one of the key frameworks that intersects with AI in Nigeria at the moment is the National Digital Economy Bill, which we are expecting to be passed soon, anytime soon. And this bill, I'm so sorry, the slides are not so clear. So this bill provides the legal framework for digital transformation in Nigeria. It recognizes digital transactions and digital electronic records. It promotes e-governance. It enables interoperability across government systems. That's exchange of data with our government agencies. It advances digital inclusion and also supports coordinated public sector data management. And so this bill, it's a huge enabler of AI adoption, especially in the public sector. However, it does not address the broader legal, ethical, governance, and accountability questions that are associated with the development and deployment of artificial intelligence system. Next slide. The second framework that we considered is the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. So in 2024, under the leadership of the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, extensive stakeholder consultation, just like what we are doing here today, was convened by NIDA, who is ICT, the foremost ICT regulator in Nigeria, as well as NCIR. NCIR is the National Artificial Intelligence Center and Robotics Center. And their mandate is AI development, AI adoption, promotion, research and capacity development, and actually maximizing the potential of AI for national productivity and competitiveness. So the ministry conveyed in collaboration with them and other stakeholders. Some of the people we have in this room today were part of that consensus that led to this document, the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. The strategy's mission, the mission statement on that strategy says to be a global leader in AI, leveraging ethical and inclusive innovation, local talent and strategic collaboration to drive sustainable development. So from this vision, we can see that Nigeria already recognizes AI as a critical factor in our national priority. And from this vision, we can see that AI is not just seen as just a technology tool, it's seen as a developmental tool capable of economic transformation. So this document is a, should I say, a policy blueprint and a roadmap, a strategic roadmap that seeks to position Nigeria as a global leader, not just a consumer of artificial intelligence. and then harness its potentials. And this aligns with what other countries are doing, like the United Kingdom, Japan, Rwanda, Kenya, and some other African countries. They are developing national AI strategies that tailor to their national development priorities or their governance systems. And one thing that is clear is that no one country can actually say they figured out this AI thing, because it's an emerging technology and it's also very dynamic. Also, the vision, the strategy also, it emphasizes that Nigeria should not be a producer, but also a consumer, but also a producer of AI that actually reflects our African realities, our values, and our priorities. The document is quite ambitious and quite comprehensive. It pursues three key objectives. Next slide. First is to drive economic growth and competitiveness by leveraging AI to boost job creation and attract investments. The second is that it hopes to improve social development by deploying AI in key sectors like agricultural sector, health, educational sector, financial services. And the third objective is that the strategy seeks to establish Nigeria as a global leader within the AI ecosystem by investing in research and innovation and developing our local startups capabilities, thereby strengthening our digital infrastructure and promoting responsible AI usage. And that this national artificial intelligence strategy, it contains about 5 pillars that is supposed to guide the attainment of those objectives. And it actually recognizes some of the foundational, it also recognizes some of the foundational issues that must be tackled if we really want to get it right on AI, like the infrastructural challenges. Another framework that we considered, and also this strategy has been in implementation since 2024, and a lot of progress has been made. We also looked at the different AI bills at the National Assembly. The very first bill that reflects Nigeria's first legislative attempt to regulate AI is the Control of Usage of Artificial Intelligence Bill 2023 by Honorable Sadasoli. Would have loved to be here, but is unavoidably absent on national engagements. So that was the first bill, and the bill proposed licensing regimes for AI developers, and it's quite a comprehensive document, but it also has its shortfalls. Some of it includes that the licensing frameworks are too strict. Also, it doesn't have a comprehensive risk-steered approach for the ethical challenges that is associated with AI. The bill also does not allocate liability for AI-related harms or establish obligations for maybe developers and users, or even have requirements for safeguards. But it's a commendable step towards regulating AI in Nigeria. There are also other bills, several other bills before the National Assembly that seek to establish AI research and professional certification institutes. Also, AI in Nigeria is also governed by sectoral regulations and international standards. Some of them include the NDPA, the Nigerian Data Protection Act 2023, and more especially the recent reforms to review the act to address challenges posed by AI and data and robotics, ensuring that the NDPA is actually up to date with this evolving technology. So some of the areas where the NDPA intersects with AI are on responsible data collection, aligning personal rights with that of the NDPA, and Section 27 of the NDPA expressly mandates anybody who's receiving data from a data subject to actually disclose where an automated decision is made and their rights to actually object to it. There are other, next slide. There are other frameworks like the Evidence Act, the Cybercrime Act, and the recent amendments being contemplated. There's the Federal Consumer Protection Act, as well as set rules on robo-advisory services, and other IP laws that also bother on AI. So collectively, these frameworks provide important elements of AI governance. But then, the problem is that they remain fragmented, and they do not, they try to regulate AI on a sectoral basis. And that would mean based on their areas of interest and areas of maybe practice or application. And so they do not constitute a comprehensive legal framework to regulate artificial intelligence. Nigeria also aligns, next slide. Nigeria also aligns itself with several international principles and frameworks. So, okay, awesome. So we'll be looking at some of the other international frameworks, like the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, the OECD AI principles, international guiding principles for AI. So these are all laws, international emerging frameworks that Nigeria aligns its governance approach to. Okay, so now we'll be looking at what some other jurisdictions are doing on AI and the lessons that we can draw from Nigeria. So the first, or what we would describe as the gold standard for AI regulation, is actually the EU Act 2024. But we have a speaker who will be doing justice to that. The United States also tries to regulate AI through their existing institutions and their existing law. The United Kingdom adopts a strategy approach. While for China, they have strong oversight. Their major focus is on security and labeling and data privacy and data protection. So also in Africa, no African country has actually passed an AI, a comprehensive AI framework. They all have strategies, and they all have strategies. And although all these countries are adopting different approaches, but then they all converge a few generally applicable principles, which is that, one, AI requires government oversight. They all recognize that regulation should be proportionate to the risk. Also, they all recognize that innovation and regulation should go hand in hand and not in competition, and that AI governance must protect human rights, privacy, transparency, and accountability. And there must be strong institutional coordination. And so this is the direction that global AI governance is moving. And it is against this backdrop that Nigeria must continue to develop its own coherent, coordinated, and future-ready AI governance framework. And so what we have seen, what we have found, our observations from all this research, is that Nigeria has made significant progress. All those frameworks, they reflect an ambitious and forward-looking commitment to positioning Nigeria as a leading AI economy. However, while these initiatives present strong building blocks, they do not amount to a comprehensive national AI governance framework. The strategy itself is a policy aspiration and is not a legally binding document. It does not have, there are no enforcement frameworks, and it does not distribute responsibility across the AI value chain. And then the other bills too on AI research and professional certification, those bills, they do not consider the legal, ethical, and associated risk that are attached to AI deployment. They do not really consider them. They more of isolate AI regulation to prioritize AI education. And we already have the NCIR, which is an SPV by NIDA, saddled with that mandate. So the question is, why is Nigeria duplicating or attempting to duplicate laws and as well as institutions that could amount to improper usage of public funds? And so our recommendation is this, that Nigeria adopts a comprehensive national artificial intelligence governance framework, that Nigeria adopts a risk-based and principle-based regulatory approach, so that AI should be governed based on the risk and not general classification for all AI systems, and that AI governance needs to work with, there should be a multi-agency approach. All the institutions that are working on AI or intersecting, that their mandates intersect with AI, they all need to come together, and there should be a national AI regulatory framework. Because as it is now, if an AI system harms someone in this room, who do you hold accountable? Who do you report to? And where do you get justice? So there should be strong institutional coordination amongst these existing regulators. Also, there should be clear liability and distribution of responsibility across the value chain, as well as accountability rules. There should be transparency, explainability, and disclosure obligations. And there should be impact assessment, mandatory impact assessment for AI, high-risk AI systems. There should also be safeguards for privacy, human rights, fairness, and non-discrimination. And then we should also seek to regulate emerging technologies like generative AI, foundation models, and deepfakes. And there should be strong and AI-specific enforcement powers, compliance obligations, and sanctions. So whether it's an act, it's a standalone act now or in the long run, there needs to be oils and brakes. AI needs to be maximized for its potentials, and then the risks and disadvantages needs to be minimized. So whether now or later, we are going to get to that point where AI would need to be properly governed by a proper legislation. But then the conversations must begin now, and it starts in this room. So esteemed leaders, shapers, builders, and AI proponents and champions in this room, please contribute your perspectives. Let us dissect this AI technology that has come to us like a wind of speed, which we cannot blow off. It's hugging us tightly, and we just have to embrace it and find a way to leverage it. So we look forward to your insightful contributions to this important dialogue that affects every one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for Asonia Boluwatife, Associate Public Policy and Regulatory Compliance Department, T&A Legal. Thank you very much. Just before we get into the global perspectives from the European Union, would like to just recognize a few people who walked in while the event was going on. Please, let's be very generous with our applause as we recognize their presence here with us. The Nigerian Communications Commission, represented by Ms. Adanna. Thank you very much. Please, can you wave We appreciate your presence. Thank you very much. Also, our representative from Meta, Victoria Oloni, Public Policy Manager, Anglophone West Africa. Thank you very much, Victoria, for joining us. Also, we have AI in action now, Debola Ibiode. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We have the representative, Africa Policy Research Construm, Mr. Jesse Louis. Please, let's put our hands together for him as well. Thank you very much. We'll have so many other people coming in, and so whilst they come in, we'll recognize them and appreciate their presence here with us. You know how they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but with technology, a clear perspective is worth everything. So having said that, while we create a framework that works for the Nigerian ecosystem, it's also right that we look at things from a global perspective. And as we already know, the European Union has some of the most stringent tech guardrails globally. And so to take us now in the EU perspective, we have policy and regulatory compliance expert on artificial intelligence and information technology law, the one and only Dr. Olivia Pelsch, but she will be joining us virtually. Please, let's put our hands together for her as she joins us.
Thank you very much for this insightful introduction. As we have just heard, there is no single model for AI governance. Different jurisdictions are responding in different ways, reflecting their own legal traditions, economic priorities, and institutional realities. With this in mind, I would like to share today the European experience, not as a blueprint, but as one possible governance model which valuable lessons can be drawn. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Olivia Plesch and I'm a lawyer based in Berlin, Germany, specializing in AI law, IT law, contract law, and digital compliance. Today, I would like to give you a brief overview of the European approach to AI governance and explain why governance has become one of the most important issues for organizations developing or using artificial intelligence. Rather than discussing every legal detail of the AI Act, I will focus on the governance principles and practical organizational obligations that organizations should already begin implementing today. Before we begin, let me briefly outline today's presentation. I will first explain why AI governance has become a global priority. I will then introduce the European approach and the key governance obligations under the EU AI Act before concluding with some reflections on what these experiences may mean for emerging digital economies. The question is, why has AI governance become a global priority? Artificial intelligence is no longer a future technology. It is already transforming healthcare, finance, recruiting, manufacturing, and many other industries. At the same time, AI creates entirely new risks. We see concerns regarding discrimination, lack of transparency, misinformation, cybersecurity, and the protection of fundamental rights. Governments around the world are therefore asking the same question. How can we encourage innovation while ensuring that AI remains trustworthy and safe? Europe has responded to this challenge through a comprehensive governance framework. This brings us to the European approach. Europe has chosen a unique approach. The objective is not to regulate technology for its own sake. Instead, the AI Act aims to create trust. 3 principles are particularly important. First, AI should remain human-centric. Second, regulation should be risk-based rather than technology-based. And third, organizations need legal certainty in order to innovate responsibly. These principles form the foundation of the AI Act. Based on these principles, the AI Act introduces governance obligations that apply to organizations. Interestingly, not every obligation depends on the risk classification of an AI system. Some governance measures should become part of every organization's AI strategy. The first is AI literacy. Governance starts with people, employees, management, developers, all need a basic understanding of AI risks and responsibilities. The second element is the clear allocation of roles. Organizations should know whether they act as providers, deployers, or importers under the AI Act. Finally, companies should establish an AI inventory. Many organizations already use AI, but often they don't have a complete overview of where AI is actually deployed. An inventory is therefore one of the first practical governance measures. This leads to one of the central concepts of the AI Act, the risk-based approach. One of the strengths of the European framework is that it does not regulate every AI system in the same way. Instead, obligations increase depending on the potential risks. AI systems presenting unacceptable risks are prohibited. High-risk systems are heavily regulated. Limited risk systems are mainly subject to transparency obligations. Most AI applications currently fall into the minimal risk category and remain largely unregulated. This proportional approach aims to balance innovation and protection. Additional requirements apply once an organization develops or places high-risk AI systems on the market. High-risk systems are subject to considerably stricter requirements. The objective is to ensure that these systems remain safe throughout the entire life cycle. Organizations must establish comprehensive quality management system. This includes continuous risk management, high quality datasets, technical documentation, and effective human oversight. Another important aspect is conformity assessment before placing the system on the market. In other words, governance is no longer only a legal issue. It becomes an integral part of product development. Nevertheless, implementing the AI Act is far from straightforward. Europe is facing several challenges. Some legal concepts are still open for interpretation. Organizations are concerned about compliance costs and administrative burdens. At the same time, technological development is processing much faster than legislation. AI governance, therefore, remains an evolving process rather than a finished regulatory framework. This raises an important question. What does effective AI governance actually look like in practice? In my opinion, sustainable AI governance goes beyond legal compliance. It requires responsible innovation. It requires investment in AI literacy. It requires high-quality data and effective collaboration across different disciplines. Most importantly, governance should enable innovation and not prevent it. Organizations that successfully combine regulation, ethics, and innovation will be prepared for the future. Finally, I would like to leave you with one broader reflection. Every country has its own legal traditions, institutional structures, and economic priorities. Therefore, AI governance cannot simply be copied from one jurisdiction to another. Successful governance always needs to reflect local realities. At the same time, certain principles remain universal. Trust, transparency, and accountability, and responsible innovation. These principles remain essential regardless of where AI is developed or deployed. This brings me to my final thoughts. Artificial intelligence is evolving rapidly. Regulation will continue to evolve as well. The organizations that succeed will not necessarily be those with the most advanced AI, but those that combine innovation with trust, governance, and responsibility. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your questions and our discussion.
But please, let's put our hands together for Olivia Plash, our representative from the European Union. She is the policy and regulatory compliance expert in AI and information technology law, all the way in Berlin, Germany. Please, let's put our hands together one more time. Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to recognize the presence of Babajide Arulogun, Management and Digital Transformation Consultant, PSSDC. Please, let's put our hands together with Mrs. Gani Atlasisi. Thank you very much, Digital Consultant. Please, if you're in the room, kindly wave. Thank you very much. Please, let's appreciate them. Also, we have Solomon Ayodele, co-founder, Corin AI Music Lab, developer. Thank you very much for joining us. Please, let's appreciate him. Thank you very much. We're now getting into our keynote address. But before we get into that, we have another poll for you. Now, you've listened to, you've watched the first documentary on why AI regulation matters now. You've seen the Nigerian framework. You've also listened to the EU perspective on that. And some of the things that she mentioned really resonated. You know, we cannot just copy and paste from another continent or another country. We need to be aware of our local realities and find the framework that works for us. But then there are certain tenets that cuts across, like transparency, accountability, fairness, and the likes. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the QR code will pop up on the screen right now. Please do well to scan the QR code and let's all participate. Please, if you have your phone here with you, please, I expect that you're scanning the QR code right now, because at the end of all of this, we're going to have a communique, and we're not just having this conference or this summit just for the sake of having it, but we're driving towards a goal for your protection, for my protection, for our protection, cybersecurity, and using AI in an ethical manner. So please scan the QR code on your screen and be a part of the polls. If you're joining online as well, I'm sure the QR code is on your screen right now. Please do well to scan and participate as well. Thank you. Please, we need the numbers to go up. Please participate, and you have just 60 seconds to fill the poll. I'm sure it's also about 3 questions as well. Yeah, so I mean, it's not so much questions we have right there.
But you don't feel like I do. Tell me what can I do? But I gotta be strong. You did me wrong. I thought we were sad. And now you say you want me, girl. Make up your mind. I'm not gonna be here for long. You know you want. Yeah. You know what?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to believe we're done filling the polls. Am I correct? Is there anyone still trying to fill the poll? All right, please, you have just about 30 seconds. Can you hurry up? We need to put the results on the screen so that we're sure that everyone is participating and fully understands the conversation that we're having here today. Are we done filling the poll, please? Are you done? All right, thank you very much. Please, can we have the results on the screen right about now? Thank you all for your participation. Okay, if you had to choose today, is AI ready for Nigeria? Exactly, I was going to say that. Is that really the question, or is Nigeria ready for AI? All right, is Nigeria... Many people said yes, 70%. Amazing, thank you all. All right, next question. Which poses the greater risk to Nigeria today? I can't exactly see the options. Pardon? AI replacing jobs. Nigeria, what? Nigerians failing to adopt AI quickly enough. So people think the greater risk is Nigerians not being as quick enough to adopt it. But the first, I see the perspective has shifted now. The first poll we feel, maybe people were scared that, AI will replace jobs. But now we think that the greater risk is that, we need to be as fast, even faster than AI itself. Amazing. I love that. You see, conversations like this are very needed. I can imagine what your responses will be at the very last poll. It shows that the information is sinking in. All right, the very last question. Is AI a bigger opportunity than a threat for Nigeria? Yes, we're still on this. Okay, maybe because you saw that, what's it called, that documentary. But don't worry. That's why we're having conversations today, and we're going to be having a communique after this. So during the course of the event, we're going to have an open floor, and everybody's going to contribute. And your contributions and participation at that open floor will form what will be in the communique that we will actually sign here today and will be taken to the Senate for reading. So we're not just having conversations, but we're actually taking actionable steps to see that AI is regulated beyond just innovation. We're trying to find the balance between both. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for yourselves. You guys are an amazing audience, and I love that. Thank you. All right, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have now reached a very major anchor point of this summit today. We're getting into our keynote address. And the conversation for this keynote address ultimately targets a pivotal point in this conversation that we're having today. And the topic for conversation is building Nigeria's AI future, strengthening innovation, governance, and responsible deployments for national productivity and growth. And our keynote speaker today, ladies and gentlemen, is a powerhouse indeed. The Director General and the CEO, National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, Mr. Kashifu, represented by Barrister Emmanuel Edet, the Director, Regulation and Compliance, NIDA. Please, ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding applause, let us put our hands together as we welcome on stage our keynote speaker for the day. Please, let's put our hands together for him.
All right, thank you very much. I just received confirmation that you can hear me. Unfortunately, I do not have audio feedback, so I will just proceed with my speech as I have been directed by the Director General of NIDA. So first of all, good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry that the Director General will not be there because of a few other engagements he had at this time. I would have also loved to be there physically, but unfortunately, sometimes there are circumstances beyond our control. And so, however, because of technology, it's actually my pleasure to bring you the keynote address of the Director General, Oniru Abdullahi, CCID, at this National Summit on Ethical Artificial Intelligence in Nigeria. You pardon me because I'm not in the hall. I do not know the protocol, so I will stand on already existing protocols. And good morning, everyone. So I'll go straight to delivering the thoughts of the Director General. It's a pleasure to join you today at the AI Conversation, which is a timely platform that brings together governments, industry, academia, legal practitioners, innovators, and development partners to reflect on one of the defining technologies of our time. I sincerely commend Tunde and Adisa legal practitioners for creating this important summit. Artificial intelligence presents enormous opportunities to accelerate economic growth, transform public service delivery, and improve quality of life for our citizens. At the same time, it raises important questions about governance, trust, accountability, and the future of work. These are questions that no single institution can answer alone. They require collaboration, dialogue, and a shared commitment to ensure that AI survives humanity and serves humanity as well. Today's conversation is therefore both timely and necessary. A few years ago, conversations about artificial intelligence in Nigeria centered on one question: should Nigeria develop a national artificial intelligence strategy? Today, the question has fundamentally changed. The question is no longer whether Nigeria should embrace artificial intelligence. It is how we implement it responsibly, inclusively, and at scale. That shift is actually very significant because it reflects the maturity of our ecosystem.
It reflects the growing recognition that artificial intelligence is not simply another digital technology. It is a general purpose technology that will shape every sector of our economy, from agriculture to healthcare to education, manufacturing, finance, security, and indeed, where we are really interested, public administration. More importantly, it reflects Nigeria's determination not to merely participate in global AI revolution, but also to help shape it. It's been argued that by 2035, Nigeria may be the third most populous country in the world. At NIDA, we believe that AI represents one of the greatest opportunities of our generation to accelerate national development, improve public service delivery, expand economic opportunities, and strengthen Nigeria's competitiveness in the global digital economy. But opportunities alone do not create prosperity. Implementation and harnessing of those opportunities does. When we launched the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, our objective was never to produce another policy document. Our ambition was to build an ecosystem. Because artificial intelligence ecosystems are not built by government alone, they are built through collaboration. But when universities develop the talent required in the industry, and when the private sector and practitioners in the industry actually invest in innovation, it's also possible when development partners contribute expertise and when government creates the enabling environment that allows all of these actions to thrive. This philosophy has guided our implementation journey. Through the Nigerian AI Collective, we have established a collaborative platform that brings together governments, academia, industry, civil society, and development partners to shape Nigeria's AI future. We are supporting AI research. Through NAtlas, we are developing Nigeria's AI capability to better understand our strengths, identify gaps, and inform strategic investments. We are investing in digital and AI skills. We are strengthening partnership with universities and research institutions. We are engaging industry to accelerate AI adoption. And we are fostering an ecosystem where Nigerian innovators can build solutions that address our local challenges when competing globally. These are not isolated initiatives. Together, they represent the building blocks for the Nigerian artificial intelligence ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, having a strategy is important, but strategy is only the beginning. Real progress is measured by implementation. It is measured by outcome and impact. Progress means moving from ambition to implementation, from pilots to scale, from isolated innovation to systematic transformation. This means embedding artificial intelligence into our everyday reality as Nigerians. It means enabling farmers to make better decisions through data-driven insight. It means empowering healthcare professionals with intelligent diagnostic tools. It means improving learning outcomes through personalized education. It means helping entrepreneurs build globally competitive businesses. And it also means enabling government to deliver faster, smarter, and more citizen-centered public services. Implementation also requires the right institutional foundations. We have proposed the Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill, which is particularly significant in that regard. It provides a framework for accelerating digital transformation across the public sector, promoting interoperability, strengthening digital public infrastructure, and enabling trusted digital government services. These are essential foundations for the effective deployment of artificial intelligence across government and the wider economy. Our objective is therefore not simply to deploy artificial intelligence. It is to create the conditions that allow artificial intelligence to improve our lives at scale. Artificial intelligence adoption is accelerating, and conversations around governance has become increasingly important. Around the world, governments are exploring different approaches to artificial intelligence governance. Some are introducing legislation, others are relying on existing regulatory framework standards, sector-specific rules, and voluntary codes of practice. What is clear is that there is no one-size-fits-all model. Each country must adopt an approach that reflects the legal system, institutional maturity, economic priorities, and societal values. For Nigeria, AI governance is about much more than regulation. It is about creating an environment where innovation can flourish while citizens remain protected. Good artificial intelligence governance encompasses policy standards, data governance, cybersecurity, digital infrastructure, institutional capacity, testing and assurance, accountability, and public trust. It requires us to balance innovation with responsibility, to encourage experiments while managing risk, to support technological advancement while safeguarding fundamental rights. At NIDA, we remain committed to collaborate with any party on evidence-based and risk-informed approach to AI governance. We will continue to engage government institutions, industry, academia, civil society, and international partners to ensure that Nigeria's AI ecosystem evolves in a manner that is trusted, inclusive, and responsive to our national priorities. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, trust is not the cost of innovation. Trust is the foundation of innovation. Without trust, citizens will hesitate to adopt artificial intelligence-powered services. Businesses will be reluctant to invest. Governments will struggle to deploy artificial intelligence in critical sectors. Responsible artificial intelligence is therefore not only an ethical imperative, it is an economic imperative. It is a competitive advantage. As we deploy artificial intelligence systems, we must ensure that they remain transparent, fair, accountable, secure, and human-centered. Technology should enhance human capability. It should not diminish human dignity. One of the greatest misconceptions about artificial intelligence is that success depends solely on access to advanced model. This is not absolutely true. Artificial intelligence does not run on algorithm alone. It runs on energy, it runs on compute capacity, it runs on quality data, it runs on connectivity, digital infrastructure, and talent. And above all, it runs on trust. Just as oil powered the industrial age, energy and compute will power the intelligence age. This is why Nigeria must continue to invest in resilient power infrastructure, broadband connectivity, cloud services, data centers, digital public infrastructure, research ecosystems, and most of all, digital skills. These are not separate from our AI agenda. They are all part of the entire agenda of this government. As we build these capabilities, we must also strengthen our digital sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is not isolation, it is capability. It is the ability to make informed choices about our data, our infrastructure, our digital assets, and technological future. Nigeria should not aspire merely to consume intelligence developed elsewhere. It must become creators of intelligence, rooted in our realities and responsive to our aspiration. This requires us to build local talents, support indigenous innovators, strengthen research ecosystems, and encourage responsible investment. We also need to create an enabling environment where Nigerian AI solutions can compete globally. The future of artificial intelligence should not simply happen in Africa. Africa must help shape it, and Nigeria must lead this conversation. Government also has a unique responsibility. If we expect private sector to deploy AI responsibly, government must lead by example. Public institutions exercise authority on behalf of citizens. As artificial intelligence becomes increasingly integrated into public service delivery, we must ensure that accountability remains clear, human oversight remains meaningful, and citizens' rights remains protected. The future of public sector transformation will undoubtedly be intelligence-enabled. It must remain human-centered. Technology should augment human capability, not replace human responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, as we engage through today's discussion, I encourage us to reflect on a few important questions. How do we move from policy to progress? How do we transform frameworks into implementation? How do we move from isolated innovation to nationwide adoption? How do we ensure artificial intelligence creates value, not for the privileged few, but for every Nigerian? These are questions that will define Nigeria's AI future and the answer in emerging global intelligence economy. Finally, history teaches us that every great technological revolution creates extraordinary opportunities, but only for those prepared to seize them. Nigeria has chosen to prepare through our National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, through the Nigerian AI Collective, and through the N-Atlas, through investments in digital infrastructure, research, innovation, and talent, through digital economy and e-governance bill, and through commitment to build governance ecosystems that enable innovation while earning public trust. The future of artificial intelligence will not be determined solely by the sophistications of our algorithms. It will be determined by the strength of our institution, the resilience of our infrastructure, the quality of our talent, the wisdom of our governance, and the trust we inspire. Today, we move from policy to progress. Today, we move from intention to implementation. And together, we will ensure that Nigeria's digital decade becomes Nigeria's intelligence decade. Thank you all very much for listening, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Barrister Emmanuel Edets, Director, Regulation and Compliance, NITDA. Please let's put our hands together for him one more time. Thank you for such an insightful keynote address. You know, something you mentioned that resonated is that trust is not the cost of innovation. Instead, it is the foundation of innovation. So now with the use of artificial intelligence, it shouldn't cost us our trust. We should instead trust in each other better because of artificial intelligence. And this is where today's conversation, keys in properly, creating that balance between regulation and innovation. Not because people are being innovative, we then use regulation to stop them from being innovative, but we use regulation to make the most of that innovation. Thank you all so much for listening and being very attentive audience. Right about now, we would like to take a very short message from our partners. I beg your pardon. Would like to take a very short message from the National Assembly Committees on ICT and Cybercrime, the Senate and House of Representatives. And to take us in that message, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome on stage the Senate Committee Chairman on ICT, Senator Shuaibu Afolabi Salisu. Please let's sustain the applause till he gets on stage. Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you very much, sir.
I don't think anyone has clapped for Sharon since she's been doing a wonderful job. So please give a round of applause to Sharon as well. Your artificial intelligence name is Sharon, but your name is Tolu. I asked ChatGPT, what's the other name for Tolu? You say Sharon. Let me recognize the representatives of the agencies that I work closely with. And I'll start with National Data Protection Commission, ably represented by a very beautiful member of that team. In fact, today, I'm the luckiest in this hall. The table I've been given, I'm surrounded by beautiful women. Let me also recognize the representative of NCC, the need that will just deliver the message. The academia, and I'm using Professor Onifade as a point of contact. The Nigerian Bar Association is represented by the section on business law, the technology committee, my sister Ifeoma. I'd like to recognize other resource persons who are here. Let me recognize my primary constituency, the Nigeria Computer Society, which I am a fellow of, and I see the branch from my Ogun State. I'm an Ogun State man. The Lekon NCS Ogun State, where are you? Let me particularly now pay attention to T&A Legal. And in the last few hours, you have given a very good account of yourself. From Bolutife, we came out to make very beautiful presentation. To Tolu, who has been a very good anchor, and of course, Honorable Oluseyi Adisa and Abayomi today, the founders of this very beautiful legal practice. I didn't want to come for this event, not because it wasn't important, but thank God I came. It would have been a big regret if I didn't come. Because this is a very, very, very busy period for those of us who are in the political process. I need to submit my nomination form today in Abuja. And therefore, coming for these events because I want to honor three particular things. Number one, I recognize that as the chair of the ICT committee and cyber security, not cyber crime, and cyber security, and the first IT professional to chair this committee in the history of the Senate, I have a responsibility to attend any event that I believe will contribute to advancements of technology in the country. I'm also here because I also want to share views and insights into what we currently have. And I'm happy I've listened to a number of these presentations. And lastly, you know, it's a thing of a joy when you have a professional who has gone into politics and he has also retained his professional practice. And that's why, Honorable Oluseyi, I'm extremely very proud of you. Many people might not know that you are also a legislator. You are in the Oyo State House of Assembly. And for me, as an IT practitioner, who also has a primary office, primary address. So whenever I see someone like this, I like to publicly associate. There are not too many of us in the system. So whenever any of us, politicians don't have any flattering image out there, but that's part of the burden we bear. That's why I'm here today. So I bring you best wishes and felicitations from the Nigerian Senate, particularly the Nigerian Senate Committee on ICT and Cyber Security that I chair, and of course from the great people of Ogun Central Senatorial District for whom I have the honor to speak in the Senate, and to thank T&A Legal for this very important AI summit that you have put together to deepen conversations about responsible use of artificial intelligence in our country. Artificial intelligence is so pervasive to the extent that hardly can you do anything without artificial intelligence. In the last few weeks, it has been almost on every week basis for me to speak at one engagement or the other. Last week, I was at a United Nations Office of Drug and Crimes to speak about what they call revenge porn, where people who have been friends and intimate before will create an image, intimate image, and begin to share. By the grace of God, on Sunday, I'm having yet another program with another international organization on virtual asset, cryptocurrency, and stuff like that. Therefore, this conversation is coming at a very important time, and I'd like to thank you for this effort to national development that you and your team you have put together. Let me share some thought with you. When I came into this audience, I wanted to share a personal story. But when I look around, if I share this story, I will look like a dinosaur. So I'm therefore tempted to just keep the story. But I have witnessed a lot of transitions in the technology space. I was admitted to University of Lagos in 1982, 44 years ago, to study computer science. At a time, only 4 universities were offering computer science in Nigeria: University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of Ife, and ABU. I was admitted to study computer science, having a very scanty understanding of what that program was all about. In my school that I graduated from, my secondary school, no one else had studied computer science. In fact, I was meant to study medicine, being a science student, but I wanted to be different. I looked at the JAMB brochure and I saw computer science, and the requirement was physics, what used to be called ADMAS and maths. And I thought it was a badge of honor to go and study a course that required the most difficult subject that had some good grades in my secondary school education. This was 1982. I graduated 1986, 40 years ago. In the course of this journey, I have worked in 4 banks, I have worked in Mobile, I work in Texaco. I have worked in some of those organizations, and at a point in time, when we thought we had seen it all, for those of you who are in computer science, I could say Professor Onifade here, we used to start with development program based on what we call structural programming, 3D construct. A program will execute sequentially. Otherwise, you use what if, and then there's do while repetitively. Those are the 3 constructs of structural programming. And then from there, we move on to object-oriented programming, where we talk about class, morphism, and the rest of all of those other ones. From there, we move again to agile development. I have seen all of these, but none of them is as profound as artificial intelligence. And in all of this, I have remained a practitioner. In fact, for those of you who had hard reason to be admitted into JAMB in the last 10 years, I developed the Central Admission Processing System, CAPS, that JAMB is using currently for admission in the country. I have been part of some of those groundbreaking solutions like Lagos State Global Computerization Project or the Abuja Geographical Information System under LFI in 2003. And I've remained very active both at my state level, having served as chief of staff, and that was the time I met this young man who was also serving in Oyo State then. Why am I telling you this story? When we thought we have seen it all, then artificial intelligence came. And for a start, my Department of Computer Science, that was just a department in Faculty of Science in University of Lagos, has now become a faculty of its own, offering cybersecurity, software engineering, even artificial intelligence as a course. University of Ibadan used to have computer science department. Now they have turned it to Department of Computer Science and Faculty of Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence. These are indications of how much progress that we have made, but there's a good news. And the good news is Nigeria is far, far ahead of most African countries. Take this from me. I chair the committees of all the chairmen of committees on ICT and cybersecurity in ECOWAS. I'm the chairman of West African Parliamentarians Network on Internet Governance. I'm also on the board of African One. I have gone through, out of the 54 countries in Africa, I've gone through about 30 of them, including our competitors, Ghana, Kenya, Egypt, and South Africa. None of them comes close to us in what we have done in terms of artificial intelligence. We're the first country. We're the first country that put together what we call artificial AI collective, that got all Nigerians in different parts of the world to come together to develop the most comprehensive artificial intelligence strategy. And this AI strategy, I have had reason to talk about it at a UN General Assembly, as a side event at UN General Assembly. I have also had reason to also receive, alongside with National Data Protection Commission. By the way, National Data Protection Commission was established in 2023, some 3 years ago. But guess what? A number of African countries that established something similar, they come to Nigeria in droves to come and understudy what our NDPC is doing. The first time Nigeria had a cybercrime law was 2015. One of the first things I did as chair of this committee was to amend that law. So we amended that in 2024. But guess what? Sometimes December 2025 or so, the United Nations adopted some new activities under the UN Convention on Cybercrime. So as I speak with you, I'm also in the process of amending the cybercrime law to reflect some of the new activities that have been defined as crimes under the UN Convention in order to make our cybercrime to be at par. When you talk about Data Protection Commission, we are far ahead of United States. United States has the equivalent of NDPC. The only state in the United States that has anything close to that is California. Of course, as somebody has mentioned, Europe is a gold standard in this area. So as you gather here together, I just want us to have some conversations around some of the things that we have currently done. Bolutife was talking about the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill. I'm championing that bill in the Senate, and I can tell you it's going to be the most comprehensive bill in the digital space. Let me give an example, and I can read some extra for me. That bill has gone through first reading, it has gone through second reading, it is in the third reading. In the next few weeks, that bill will be passed into law for a presidential assent, and we're no longer going to be a bill, it's now going to be National Digital Economy and E-Governance Act 2026, hopefully. Let me tell you a few things. Let me tell you a few things from that bill. If you look at the objective of the bill, there are many of them, but I'll just read one of them to you. The objectives of this bill are to strengthen legal certainty and promote public confidence in integrity and reliability of electronic transactions, communication, and records, to promote and facilitate the utilization of information and communication technology by public institutions, to enhance service delivery to citizens, strengthen the efficiency and effectiveness of government processes, procedure, and system, and to foster transparency, openness, and accountability in governance. It also to reform, harmonize, and amend existing legislation as necessary to facilitate and accelerate digital economy in Nigeria, and finally, to provide a regulatory framework, and I'm going to repeat this, to provide a regulatory framework for the development, implementation, and responsible use of artificial intelligence systems and other emerging technologies. And then that's under the objective. Now, under the application, the provision of this bill shall apply to all persons and public institutions in respect of their electronic transactions, communications, and record, governed by the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Trust service providers, whether established within or outside Nigeria, in respect of the service they provide, enable, or support within Nigeria. Public institutions as related to their processes, procedures, and systems. And finally, to artificial intelligence agents and emerging technologies as defined in this bill. And finally, on this bill, just to give you an idea, if you go to Section 5 of this bill, this is where we provide elaborately for a framework on artificial intelligence. Okay, and I just read a few of them. And I'm doing this because I wish this summit had happened earlier. We took this bill to all the 36 states of the Federation. I introduced this bill for the very first time, July 2024. And between July 2024 and July 2025, when it came back for second reading, 1 year, we went around all the states of the Federation. And we did this in conjunction with Olaniwa Ajayi and co as our legal consultant, just to give an idea how comprehensive this bill is. So, and I go to, we dedicated a particular section to artificial intelligence, okay? And this section, this is the most comprehensive bill, regulatory sandboxes and test bed for artificial intelligence, including also providing that you do not deploy an artificial intelligence unless it has gone through sandboxes and test beds. Not that just wake up and deploy artificial intelligence without going through the sandbox. I can share this bill, the draft, with you. The important thing I wanted to emphasize is that we are doing this to provide a framework to strike a balance between regulation and then innovation. You want to deploy an artificial intelligence. Under this bill, artificial intelligence solutions and systems are also categorized into about 4 or 5. Depending on the category, the requirement for deployment are also different. The whole essence of this is to provide an enabling framework. And then, of course, we have National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics in NIDA. The objective is not to create a new agency, but it's to provide collaboration and coordination. In this bill, copious reference is made, for instance, to National Data Protection Commission when it comes to data governance. In this bill, copious reference is made to the Office of National Security Advisor and the cybercrime law when it comes to cybersecurity part of this assignment. In this bill, we even make reference to Federal Consumer Protection Commission, because as we speak, the Federal Consumer Protection Commission, they deal with transactions that are usually unterrestrial. But suppose those transactions take place online. How do you provide for that? So this bill is very carefully put together, not to take responsibility that are already entrenched in some of the agencies, but to provide some coordination for them. For instance, when it comes to digital signatures and trust providers, the bill puts this responsibility in the National Identity Management Commission, so that some of the concerns that Bolitife raised earlier, in terms of operating in silos, we're trying to bridge the gap to ensure we no longer operate in silos. For instance, when you talk about electronic transactions, we also recognize, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a computer scientist. We also recognize that there's also the Evidence Act. And Evidence Act is specific in its own requirements for things that will qualify for evidence. So why this bill provided a number of things that the Evidence Act has not provided for now, in terms of digital signatures, in terms of when they say retention of records, and most of the laws expect that the retention is in a paper form. And this bill is saying that retention should also be extended to electronic format of the document. But we also give preference in some areas to Evidence Act, because Evidence Act is a specific legislation for this. And I'm saying this because I've been on this bill for the last 2 years. This is, as a last count, this is a 78-page law, extremely extensive, and it's focused on artificial intelligence. But is it going to be a flawless piece of legislation? My answer is no. But what we seek to do is that you cannot do a review of a book that has not been written. No matter how beautiful the book idea is in somebody's head, unless that book is reduced into writing, that people can pick it up, read it, and begin to do a critique of it. So we want to pass this law. And as we're doing this, we're also working on a new cybercrime law in the country. And the intention is to bring the cybercrime law also up to date. Like some of you have also suggested, we have deep fakes now. Things that were not there when the first law was enacted. We also need to take care of some of those things. We're talking about virtual assets. When we amended the Secret and Exchange Commission Law Act, people are talking about stocks and shares and dividends. There were no cryptocurrencies then. There were no virtual assets. So as I speak now, my committee is also working on a bill, on a virtual asset bill. About 2 weeks ago, there was a report, and some of the indices you have also given here indicate that Nigeria is ahead, if not globally, in Africa when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Nigeria is number 1 in Africa. But then there's no law currently to guide the trading, the custodial services of cryptocurrencies. So, like this conversation, I'd like to thank T&A Legal again for bringing this egg together. I will see to take a few more questions if there are, but also benefit for some of the other presentations that will take place. But if I leave you, just know that I'm not leaving you because this is not important. I wouldn't have come for this if it's not important. I enjoy the conversation that we have had. But as we do so, I want us to avert our mind to a couple of things. Number 1, we need to look at data governance is the bedrock of artificial intelligence. Who owns the data now as we speak? Who owns my personal data? Is it myself? Is it the government? Or the data controller or data processor? There's always a tension. What happened to our digital sovereignty? As we speak, a law in California says once a data resides in a cloud and that cloud is in California, the California state has rights to that data. The data of Nigerian citizens who only happen to be in the cloud services and somewhere in California. I want us to talk about data privacy. How much privacy do I have? As I was getting out from my car, your very beautiful cameraman wanted to take my shot, and I said, have you taken my permission before you take my photograph? And they laugh about it. It's beyond laughter. People are not even saying your photographs are no longer just things that people can just take. We need to talk about data privacy. We need to talk about civil liberties. And I would have loved to see in the audience some civil society organizations. It's always a tension between regulating the space and allowing people to say whatever they want to say on the social media. We need to also resolve that tension. Bring the civil society organizations, bring them also on the table. We need to talk about what are our national priorities. We can deploy artificial intelligence in so many areas, but what are national priorities, and how do we get our national priorities to be in the front burner of the deployment of artificial intelligence? I would like to conclude this way, that as we gather here together, regardless of the title that we have brought, regardless of the role that we have, regardless of the location that we have come from, we have a responsibility to build this country together. And that responsibility requires that even when we go out, we speak not ill of our country. This country is not perfect, but the glass of Nigeria is half full, not half empty. We must, as citizens, begin to also look at the positives that we have done right, even when we are fixing those things that needed to be fixed. We need to listen and hearken to the call of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa here was a woman that was without a child of her own, was busy picking orphans on the streets of India. And people came to her and said, Mother Teresa, what are you doing? This is insignificant. We are an overpopulated country, by the way. Even children that have parents, we do not know what to do with them. How much more children we don't have parents? Orphans are not part of our problem. And she said, sometimes we think our effort is insignificant. We think our contribution is like a drop in the ocean, but the ocean will be less without that drop. And on that note, I thank T&A Legal for the drop in the ocean that you have put together. God bless you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give our distinguished senator a standing ovation as we put our hands together for him for such an insightful message. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. But before you go, sir, we would like to take a group photograph with you, handing you the communique. You know, speaking about the drop of water in the ocean, this communique is to also add to that ocean bill that you already have in the Senate to uplift and elevate and scale that already, you know, set bill that we have in the Senate already. So please.
Thank you, Tolu. All right, so this would have been done at the end, and this is, if you like, being done in advance, just to let us know that everything we say here matters. It's not ending in this room. We will be discussing with our distinguished senator and his counterpart in the House of Reps, Honorable Stanley Odidiomo, as we call him, on how all the things we have said here. I know you said you've been to 36 states. There are some people that feel they've not yet been heard, and this is why we must continue to have these conversations. And we thank you for the amazing work you've been doing. Clearly, from your speech, we know you've definitely done a lot, and we highly commend you. And on our part, by convening this, we will certainly be bringing all the resolutions from this conversation to the National Assembly. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for them one more time. Thank you.
If I take this seat right here, she's sitting alone. If you're sitting like this, girl, I'm right in there. If you got a nigga, don't lie, ain't got to front for me. You these digits that you can call. You can get me on my cell if I'm not home. Are you down to swinging it with me? Or could you be blinded by all this nice you see? I'm willing to give you all this love I got. No relationships at all. Keep it strict to physical. All alone. Love waiting just for you. So you can mess it up. I sure regret it. Say what? Yeah. To it from you. Girl, you gotta be the one, girl, you gotta be the one, yeah. See, I don't mind making house call if you want to overblow. Girl, whatever you're down for, I'm trying. It won't hurt if you don't know, that's how it's got to be. I understand you got a nigga that lives at home, but I wanna be that cat that makes you moan. See, are you down to swinging that with me? Or could you be blinded by all this ice you see? I'm willing to give you all this love I got. No relationships involved. Keep it strictly physical. All your love. Ooh, yeah. Now say the word. And now you.
Thank you very much, DJ. That was an amazing session by the senator. Right about now, we're getting into the panel conversation where we'll be getting different perspectives on the conversation: AI governance in Nigeria, adoption, ethical use, innovation, regulation, data and digital rights, democratic integrity, and national competitiveness, finding the balance between all of these. And today we have an amazing set of panelists that will be taking us in this conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, please, as I welcome them upstage, let's be very generous with our applause as we appreciate them. First, we have the founder, Rain Robotics. Our very first panelist is the founder of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria, a leading voice in African robotics and AI. Since founding RAIN in Nigeria in 2019, he has built West Africa's foremost robotics and AI hub, launching Yard Code, an indigenous digital addressing solution, and securing RAIN's appointment as Meta's pioneer West Africa partner for its AI Developer Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Olushola Said Ayola, the founder, RAIN Robotics. Please, we can do better than that. Thank you very much. Up next, our next panelist is an independent systems thinker, economic strategist, and public intellectual. He is the co-founder of Clarity House, a vertically integrated intelligence platform operating across media, research, and advisory. He's also the founder and CEO of Pop Central and co-founder of Visit Mefo Venues. He is widely regarded as a leading voice in Nigeria's economic architecture and the intersection of technology and capital intelligence in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the founder and CEO Pop Central, Yinka Obebe. Thank you very much for joining us. Again, we need to be very generous with our applause. Also, our next panelist is a technology executive, AI literary coach, and digital transformation practitioner with over 17 years of experience at the intersection of artificial intelligence, digital policy, fintech, and cloud infrastructure. He is a vocal advocate for ethics-led, evidence-grounded AI governance framework that protects digital rights while enabling innovation across Africa. He is the director of business, Uniteller's Edge Cloud Services. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Jimmy Sayo, our caller. Thank you. I like the callers, you know. Please, let's be very generous with our applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now, if you think that a man is going to moderate this panel session, you are wrong. Because it's already an all-men panel session, so you need a feminine aura to make everything complete. So ladies and gentlemen, the moderator for this panel session is a senior counsel at T&A and Adisa Legal Practitioners in Lagos, where she is a key member of the corporate commercial and data protection privacy practice teams. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for senior counsel T&A Legal, Sharon Okwo. Please, we can do better than that. Thank you very much. Isn't she looking lovely? Thank you. Over to you, Sharon.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Oh, it's after. Oh, my bad. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Tolu, for that, the introductions. And everybody here actually does. You guys look very, very amazing. Let me just start by saying that it's actually a very wonderful thing having such brilliant minds in the house, in this room, to have this all-important conversation. So before I get into the questions I have for the panel session, for the panelists, I just want to get one thing out of the way, or more like, be sure that we are all aligned on one thing, which is whether we should have an AI Act in the first place. There's already the bill that is being considered and all, but so far we have a plethora of legislations. We have certain regulations, sector-specific regulations, and we have the regulators for these sectors actually overseeing the implementation of these AI related provisions within their sector. So my question is, if we have all of those, is there still a need for us to have once a standalone AI Act and an AI, or let's say a regulator that oversees AI and the enforcement of this act Any one of us can start. It's open for the panelists. And sorry, before they start, even though the questions here are for the panelists, they are also for everyone in this room. So it's something to mull over, it's something to think over. When it's time for the stakeholder session, you can contribute on that and even ask further questions. So I think we'll start with Mr. Yinka.
All right, thank you. So the way I see this, I want you to imagine a field, right? Probably like land, empty land. Then you build a fence around it and lock it up, right? Think about that, like visualize that. And to a large extent, I think that's what we're trying to do to AI. We're trying to lock up an empty field. And a lot of people may not agree to that. Again, I want to mention that the guys that are building these things, the Americans, the Chinese, at the forefront, they're not regulating these things the way we're talking about it. We're not building anything. The Europeans are not exactly taking any lead whatsoever in terms of this build. So why are we trying to lock up the entire gate? I want us to understand that the conversation around AI is about economic architecture and value capture. There are two races in front of us, and there's one that we can never win. You see this one for regulation, we're never going to win it. But the other one, the economic architecture and the value capture, we can win. I don't like getting into fights when I don't think I can win. If I get into a fight with you, there's a very high chance, but if I see that I can win, I will beg you. There are 5 layers to AI. The energy layer, we can play. The processor layer, we can play. The data center layer, we can play. The model layer, we can't play. The last one is the only one we can play at. Applications. In China, they're not regulating these things the way you're talking about it. The only thing they're insisting on at the content layer is that socialist ideology must come through their AI. In America, content is not being regulated like this. Nobody's really talking about it. And you know, the Americans are very funny people. They will tell you that, oh, it's because the states did not agree. It's a trick. Because at the end of the day, if 20 states don't agree and the rest of the 32 agree, at the end of the day, they're going to use us to experiment, and America is still going to come out with what they're going to come out with. What are they regulating? I will close very soon. What are they regulating? They're regulating the wealth creation ability, the economic architecture around it. They're telling you who can have the chips and the processor and who cannot. That's what they're regulating. They're telling you, like the senators, what regulation does. What regulation does is that it allows